Hello, this is an assessment in transit of a Blüthner style 6 grand piano made in 1914, 175 centimetres long. And the client wants us to assess the piano while it's in transit to see if there's any work that might improve it. And the casework is satinwood, which is very attractive indeed. Normally it's rosewood, this age of piano, 1914. Nearly all of them would be rosewood. So it's a delight to find a different wood, and the satinwood is in almost perfect condition, the casework. It's a fishtail piano, which surprised me because most Blüthners of this age would be not the fishtail. Fishtail meaning that both there's a point here and there's another point there and another point here. So it's called fishtail in the trade, but normally they're rounded off here as you get on modern pianos. So looking around the case, as I say, it's pretty immaculate. No fading. There's a light colour anyway, so you wouldn't perhaps notice fading so much in a light colour piano. But no fading with the lid folded back. It's no different colour underneath. If we have it lifted up and have a look, you can see it's the same colour. So beautifully polished, and perhaps recently polished, because it's almost immaculate. And again, down the side there, beautiful designs, and you can see some inlay, some stringing there as well, which is really nice. So immaculate and beautiful casework, and a different music stand from what you get on Blüthners normally. That's a normally straightforward slatted one, which we've shown on many other videos, and no fading here either. Again, beautiful design. So I'm just admiring the design. There's a little bit of a crack there, but that's about the only defect I can see. A little bit here. Again, that's been filled in, I think, by somebody. Key tops are immaculate ivory keys as well, which is encouraging, and really don't need any buffing at all. They're pretty shiny. Looking at the acoustic side of the piano, the tuning pins are tight. They have been replaced. The strings here are not the originals. They will be coned, as was shown on other Blüthner grands, but the pins are tight, so that's encouraging. So no desperate work to do on the acoustic side of the piano, but the mechanical side, yes. We'll look at that in a second. But one thing to mention here, that the felt that's been chosen here, when I showed this to someone who used to work at Blüthner's, and we collaborate with them, and I often ask him, particularly because this was satinwood, and wanted to know his opinion, and the fishtail. There's alicot, by the way, which means it's extra string here. That makes it a style 6, not a style 5. Style 5 is not alicot, same length, but had alicot stringing, extra string on here to resonate and produce a slightly more resonance in the piano. Sorry, that wasn't the resonant part. That's actually it's got to be dampened off. Otherwise, if that resonates as well, the piano sounds very strange. But there's this bit here that resonates. You can look on these top ones here. That resonates together with that and gives it an extra zing. But our colleague who worked for Blüthner's was said yuck, actually, when he saw this wrong colour, because obviously a restorer takes pride in doing the right colour felt. Not that matters, obviously, but just cosmetic. This is the Blüthner blue felt here, and so that should be blue as well. And this is blue. It's very faded, but it's blue, so at least it's the right colour. And there's again, if you see the bearing cloth here, that's blue, so that's original, and then the hitch pins are not the right color. So it's if you wanted it restored, if the client wants it restored acoustically, it is a good idea. I think it can be improved slightly in terms of the tone, but generally the strings are good. But cosmetically we've improved, and because it's so cosmetically beautiful on the outside, it is worth thinking about. There's been a crack that's been repaired there, which is quite normal. It's been shimmed. Again, the soundboard doesn't look as perfect as we would have if it was completely redone. If it's completely redone. So there's the serial number there, and there's the logo, what we call decal underneath there. Last date on that, I think, is 1881. Sorry, I beg your pardon, 1905. We've got a 1905 under here. My apologies, that wasn't correct. If this was replaced, if it was replaced by Blüthner's themselves, they tended to put the decal that said 1929, which was confusing because actually the piano will be older than that. But anyway, that's being finicky perhaps, but I think as it's so beautiful on the outside, you certainly could think about restoring the inside to make it the acoustic side to make it immaculate too. Blüthners have a naturally mellow tone, but the hammers are very soft, so it's even softer than normal. I'm going to compare it with a Bosendorfer that we have here. Here's a 1920s Bösendorfer. Now, because it's extremely mellow and the hammers are so soft, at the top end it hardly sounds with the same volume. Now that note there, that's a G, for instance, you can hardly hear it because the hammer is so soft. We'll have a look at the hammer in a minute. And the Bösendorfer, you still get a distinct sound because the hammer's well voiced and there's plenty of hammer left. Played at the same volume, you can hardly hear it. You have to play it really loud to get a sound out of it. Now, if we look at the hammers, they're extremely soft. Someone's tried to harden them, I think, by putting some liquid on them, but they're extremely soft, and I can get my fingernail into them, especially at the top end, and that's why they're hardly sounding when you play softly. Play it really loud to get them to sound at all. So it's partly the shape. They need to be a little bit more pointed. There's a reasonable amount of hammer left on these top ones, but they need to be more pointed, more and much harder as well, and then you'll bring out the kind of tone you should have at the top end. Now, the piano needs a lot of regulation. The let-off particularly, you often find in Blüthners, needs a huge amount of regulation. So that is A, and it's stopping as I press the key down, not to sound the note, but just press the key down. It's stopping about over a centimetre away from the string. That's B, which is a little bit closer, and this is C, which I've regulated, and about 2 or 3 millimetres from the string. So if you listen to all three played gently, you can't get any sound out of the A. The B, a bit less gently, and then the C can be played really gently and you get a sound out of it. So obviously that affects the control. So the let-off needs adjusting. This is behind. It's the opposite from a normal action, as we've shown before. You've got videos showing the difference between a patent, this is Blüthner patent, and a standard action. And you regulate by turning the let-off behind here, and that allows the hammer to get much closer to the string. So the main work to do on the piano is replace the hammers, reweigh them. You have to reweigh them and regulate. I've done some of the key weights here, but that's irrelevant in the sense if you replace the hammers. But the weighting is normal, really. But if you replace the hammers, you have to reweight them because the hammers will be a different weight. And then regulate, lots of regulation and possibility of acoustic regulation just because the piano is so beautiful. And then it will be just like a new piano, really. So that involves the soundboard, rest plank, a new rest plank where the tuning pins go into. That will make it look just like a new piano. Redo the frame, bridges and strings, etc. So that's an assessment of a Blüthner style 6 grand piano made in 1914, 175 centimeters long. And it's very unique casework and extremely beautiful and extremely good condition. The piano mechanically does need a lot of work, both the hammers, and we talked about the acoustic side. That would make it like a new piano, just like the outside is so immaculate. So that's definitely worth considering, and it would make it the new rest plank, so you would have the piano just like a new piano, really. Of course, it's got a patent action. That can be replaced. It's expensive, but the patent action, as we've shown in many other videos, performs extremely well and is extremely reliable, so you might feel you don't want to do that. Thank you very much for listening. If you are interested in having a piano assessed in transit or just assessed because you want restoration done on it, please do write to robertspianos@gmail.com.